I hope everybody can see my opening slide here that has the little, looks like dice, but they have letters on them instead of numbers. Tips, tricks, and tidbits are what we're going to be talking about today. And they're not really topics that we would normally get into in a whole lot of depth, so they might not be appropriate for a full-blown lesson, but I thought it might be helpful instead of really concentrating on one subject, especially one as heavy as reverses and responding to reverses like we've done the last 2 weeks, just to talk about some more little tidbits that sometimes come up and might be helpful to review. So I'm going to start off with one of my pet peeves. When you have preempted the bidding, you never bid again unless your partner forces you to bid. Now, how does partner force? If he is an unpassed hand, he bids a new suit. Some people have the mistaken identity that because as opener they have preempted, they have shown that they're weak and told their whole story, and that they can pass another suit bid by the responder. Well, that puts the responder in a big bind. What if he has a really nice hand and he has a nice suit himself with no tolerance for your suit at all? If he bids a new suit, all he's doing is asking you for support, which generally would mean I have 3 cards in it, and I have no tolerance for your suit. Now, number one, this requires a good hand, because with a weak hand and no support, partner should pass. You've got to remember, resist the urge to drive an ambulance. Your partner has gotten himself into the hole, so he's going to have to get himself out. If you try to improve the contract and your hand is not strong, dig in a hole. When you're down there in it, you've got to stop digging. And that means don't bid if all you're doing is trying to rescue your partner. So if your partner is an unpassed hand, when he bids a new suit, if you have no support for his suit, you just rebid yours. And at that point, he should pass. He doesn't need to be digging the hole any deeper either. Now, if you opened on the 2 level, 2 no trump is also forcing, because unless you and your partner have an agreement otherwise, it is asking for a feature in the weak 2 bidder's hand, because the responder is interested in a game. He needs a hand that's kind of one no trumpy opening to make that bid. And he may be interested in game in the opener suit, or he may be interested in 3 no trump if you opened with 2 of a minor. So remember, if your partner bids after you've preempted, you bid again unless all he did is raise. There's an abbreviation that you'll see on a lot of convention cards that says RONS, opposite preemptive bids and weak 2 bids. That means raise is the only non-forcing call. And it's important to remember that. Now, the other thing that I see a lot is people will have 7-card suits and they'll open them at the 2 level. There might be a reason for doing that. If you, for instance, if your suit is weakish, you might open at the 2 level because you have a 7-card suit, but it's not really a good suit at all. But the reason that I hear most often that people do that is, I have a better chance of making the contract. Folks, the object of preempting is not to make the contract. You're missing the boat if you think that's the purpose. The purpose of preempting is to take up a lot of bidding space because you have few points and a long suit. So what you're trying to do is obstruct the opponents, particularly if you're sitting in the 3rd seat and there's been 2 passes to you and you have a long suit. I would be tempted to open at the 3 level with only 6 cards in my suit if I were not vulnerable. simply because I know my partner is not going to go crazy and bid a slam because he's a passed hand. And I know that the person at the table with all the points is sitting on my left, and I want to make life difficult for him. I never preempt expecting to make a bid. What I'm hoping to do is get in the opponent's way so that they can't find their optimum contract. If I can keep them out of their optimum contract, then I have succeeded, even if I go off a couple of tricks. A lot of times, particularly with newer players, it's hard to get over the fact that because you won the contract and set a couple of tricks, that you made a mistake, or that you didn't do the right thing, or this is not going to be a good board for you. That's not necessarily the case. And in fact, the opposite is often true when you have a preemptive hand. If you can keep your opponents out of a game or out of a slam that they'd have bid if you had left them unmolested, then you have succeeded. That's the nature of this game in match points, and which means we're playing pairs. When we're playing match points, we're playing pairs. So for maximum obstructive efficiency or accomplishment, to accomplish the maximum obstruction, bid your hand accurately. Open 3 spades if you have 7 cards and an honor or 2 at the top. Of course, what's required will depend on what you and your partner have agreed, and of course on the vulnerability. Here's an example. This is a classic 3-spade opening here. 7 high card points in it. If those of you who count losing tricks will see that there are only 7 losers in this hand, which makes it kind of like an opening hand. But don't you dare open this hand 1 spade. The ACBL has rules against stuff like that. This is a classic 3-spade opening. If the auction goes 2 passes after that and your right-hand opponent bids 4 hearts, yes, you have a singleton heart, but you told your whole story. Your partner passed. Your partner knows what you have because you described it very accurately, and he can look at the board and he knows what the colors are. Now, just because you don't want to sell out to 4 hearts doesn't mean you bid 4 spades here. Remember, if your partner had 3 spades with you, he should have bid 4 spades immediately, even if he doesn't have a good hand. If you're a believer in the law of total tricks, when your partner opens 3 spades, particularly in the first seat, and you have 3 of them in your hand, just bid 4. Don't sit there and think about it, just bid 4. The fact that North did not raise here says that he doesn't have 3 spades with South, and that means that you don't have the law of total tricks to protect you here in a 4-spade call. Yes, your suit is really nice, but it's all you have. Partner doesn't have support for you, or does not have 3-card support, and look at your hearts. I mean, East took a flyer here. He had the best hand at the table, and you made life difficult for him. He had to start bidding at the 4 level. He has no way of knowing whether his partner has any support for him or not. And it may be that your partner is sitting over there waiting to double because he has a heart stack. So once you've preempted, resist the urge to bid again, even if the opponents bid your short suit. Does everybody see this? I see a lot of this kind of thing going on, and then people wonder why they don't do well. Once you've preempted, you don't bid again unless your partner forces you to do so. And when your partner forces you to bid again after you've preempted, he better have a good hand. A good hand.
Susan?
Okay. Yes.
There's a question from Steve.
Go right ahead, Steve. Mm-hmm.
Okay, on that hand you just had up, suppose my spade suit was not quite as good. Instead of the king, I've got the 9. I've still got 7 spades. And I'm vulnerable. I've gotten doubled vulnerable too many times at the open games.
Yeah,
where
sure.
I'm really gun shy of opening this at the 3 level with.
Well, but take away the king, and I would be too. But I would not hesitate to open this hand 3 spades vulnerable, Whether you would do it missing the king is a matter of partnership agreement and how light your vulnerable preempts can be.
But would you be okay with this 7-card suit if it's instead of the king, you have the 9 and you still open it 2 spades?
Well, that would depend on the agreement I have with my partners in first seat. Maybe, maybe not.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. Mm-hmm. All right, now then, here's another situation. Blackwood with a void. We should all pick up a hand like this one at some point in our career, shouldn't we? That is one powerful hand. And here's the way the auction goes. I mean, you look at this hand, pick it up, and you think, I got to have at least 6 spades on this hand. I don't see how I can not make at least 6 spades on it. So I open 2 clubs because this definitely qualifies, doesn't it? Partner says 2 diamonds, which, you know, could be 2 points, could be 5 or 6 points. And now when I rebid 2 spades, showing my suit where I live, my partner raises to 3 spades. Remember, this is a stronger bid than 4 spades in this auction. 3 spades says, I have support and I'm not broke. What do you think, partner? Are you on a minimum for your bid or shall we go on? Well, when my partner bids 3 spades here, I'm thinking, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. But notice I'm missing 2 aces and I have a void. When you're missing more than 1 ace and you have a void or a worthless doubleton in your hand, asking your partner how many aces he has does not solve your problem. And it's seldom helpful to ask a question if the answer doesn't help you. So when you have a void in your hand, we've talked about this before, the smartest thing to do is show an ace. Now you can cue bid your club suit here if you want to, because a void is a first round control. But if you really want to know whether your partner has the heart ace, you will cue bid diamonds, showing the ace of diamonds. If partner has the heart ace, he'll show it to you. Then it's just a matter of, okay, do you have the club ace as well? Because if you have the club ace, I want to be in 7 no trump. So if partner shows you the heart ace, you can comfortably bid 4 no trump. The answer will tell you whether your partner has just one, and you know which ace it is. You don't have to wonder now because partner told you which one he has. Then you will know it's the heart ace and you can bid 7 spades. Or if he shows you 2 key cards, I shouldn't say aces, I should say key cards, then you can bid 7 no trump because your partner has the ace of clubs and you can count all 13 tricks. 3 spades promises at least 3 card support, and it promises more than about 5 points. It promises up around 6 or 7. So this is the way that you would bid this hand. Now, would it be wrong just to blast into 6 spades after your partner bids 3 spades? No, it wouldn't, because you're pretty confident that you can make 6 spades. But those people who know how to bid their hands accurately will end up in 7 spades making, 6 spades making, or 7 no trump even. If the hand makes 7 no trump and you're in a room full of good players, 6 spades making 7 is not going to be a good score because other people knew how to cue bid and find out what their partners had. Nothing wrong with bidding 6 spades, particularly if you're a beginner and you're not experienced at cue bidding. And yes, you may mess up cue bidding the first couple of times you use it. The important thing to remember there is this 3 spade bid sets the trump suit. So when opener bids another suit, he's not suggesting that you play there at all. You have set spades as the trump suit. He's showing you a control in that suit because he has slam interest. Does everybody see the difference here in how you bid and why you would bid it this way? If you don't, send me an email and I'll be glad to expound on it a little further.
Susie, Susan, I'm sorry. Susie asked, how do you know your partner has an ace of hearts?
Well, you don't. Because when you Q bid 4 clubs or 4 diamonds, if he just returns to 4 spades, then he has nothing to show you. And in that case, you can bid 6. But once you Q bid, you're saying, partner, hey, I have an ace here. Show me something, because his bid of 3 spades implies he has something to show you. Now, might he have the ace, king, and queen of clubs, and he's counting that? Those are wasted values, aren't they? Even if your partner has the ace, king, queen of clubs, you dare not bid 7 spades off an ace, because that's the first card that will hit the table if you do. And if that happens, if you bid 4 diamonds and he bids 5 clubs, then you can just bid 6 spades and go on down the road. Remember, when you're Q bidding and you skip over a suit, it denies a control in that suit. So once I Q bid 4 clubs or 4 diamonds, if my partner skips over hearts, he doesn't have the heart ace. Does that make sense, Susie? Susie?
She's saying yes, and we have hands up.
Yes, thank you very much.
All right.
Hands are up from Steve and Roy and Ella.
Okay, we'll stop for a minute here then. Ella, what's your question?
My question is, when you bid 4 diamonds, your partner has to know that that is a Q bid and not going back to their 2 diamond bid?
Now, Ella, 2 diamonds is an artificial response. It says nothing at all about diamonds. You have agreed spades as the trump suit. The partner didn't bid 2 diamonds. All he was doing was just keeping the auction open and at a low level for his partner. Remember, 2 diamonds here is artificial. Says nothing at all about diamonds, and he's not proposing that you play in diamonds any more than opener is proposing that you play in clubs.
Oh, I missed the 2 club opening. Forget my question. Thank you.
Okay. That's all right. Roy?
My question refers to partner's response to the opener's 4 diamond bid. I take it that if you do not have the ace of, if partner does not have the ace of hearts and it has a second round stop in clubs, the king, 2 others, you don't bid a second round stop. Well, you only bid an ace stop.
Not once you get past if you go past the game level, it should be a first round control.
First round control only. Okay, thank you.
After game, yes. So if he skips over hearts to bid clubs, he should be showing the club ace and denying the heart ace. That's the way Q bidding works. And it's the only way that makes sense if you want to know the truth. Otherwise, you would never know. You would never know. Steve, what's your question?
My question is actually very related to that as well. If you're below the game level, how does partner know that your 4 diamond bid is not second round control? Because it could be first or second round. How does your partner know?
It depends on whether you play American Q bidding or Italian Q bidding.
Oh.
If you play American partner do, then it's always a first round control. If you play Italian style, it is a first or second round control, but it tells partner, hey, we don't have 2 fast losers in this suit. Below game, I play Italian. I show first or second round, because then once I know I don't have 2 fast losers in a suit, I'm comfortable bidding 4 no trump. And if it turns out we don't have enough aces, I stop in 5.
Well, I have a related
Use
question.
Italian.
I mean, if you Q bid the void, you know you've got first and second round control of diamonds. If you Q bid in clubs, you'll get this. If partner has an ace of hearts, you'll know that as quickly as you would if you Q bid diamonds, right?
Yes, yes. This is just a matter of what your partnership agreements are. Of course, a void is a first round control, but I'm really, really, really interested in knowing whether my partner has specifically the heart ace. So I would like to fix it so that he has to show me the heart ace or go past the game level. So that if he shows me, if he bids 5 clubs, I know it's the ace. Doesn't do me a whole lot of good because he skipped hearts, and I'm still going to bid just 6 spades. This is a matter of choice. You can bid 4 clubs for your Q bid. Some people are not comfortable bidding a suit that's void because they're afraid their partner's going to pass them because, you know, they may say, oh, well, he opened clubs, forgetting that that's artificial. But remember, when you're Q bidding, you have already agreed to trump suit. So your partner is never proposing that you play in another suit. And whether you Q bid clubs or diamonds here is just a matter of personal preference. I would probably Q bid the diamonds because that leaves my partner a little choice. If he doesn't want to go past 4 spades, he has to show me a heart ace if he has it, and he should do it anyway. If I bid diamonds, and I know he's not going to bid diamonds over my club control here, but I'm just so focused and interested on knowing whether he has the heart ace that I would personally choose diamonds, but that doesn't mean that that's the only right answer. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Isn't it also a case that a heart bid by him could be a singleton just as well as an ace using your Italian Q bids, and so you've got to use Blackwood over the 4 heart bid?
Yes. Yes. And once, if it's a singleton, showing a first or second round control reveal the fact that we may be off a key card here. Depends on partner's answer to Blackwood. You know, we don't show partner's hand here because I'm just trying to make the point that if you are missing more than 1 ace and you have a void in your hand and partner shows you 1, then you're still in the dark. You still don't know what to do, and you're at a much higher level. Some people will take a gamble and bid the slam, and other people will stop in 5. So, you know, it's kind of a matter of personal style and what you want to do. Okay. Now then, here's another question that I get pretty frequently. If I have a 6-card suit as overcaller, and I have fewer than 10 points, should I bid 1 or should I bid 2? And my answer says it depends on your position in the auction. So holding this hand here, what do you do if your right-hand opponent deals and opens 1 club? This certainly qualifies for a 2-heart overcall. But you could also bid 1 heart because there's some overlap here in the requirements for a 1-level overcall and a 2-level overcall. Now change the scenario just a little bit here, and partner deals and passes, and then your right-hand opponent opens 1 club. So thinking about what a 1-level overcall typically shows, you and your partner may have a different agreement, but typically it's, my card says 7-ish to 17. More typically it's 8 to 16, and a good 5-card or longer suit. Most pairs play that a weak jump overcall, which is what would happen if your right-hand opponent bids a club and you jump to 2 hearts. That's the equivalent of a weak 2 opening bid. It's called a weak jump overcall because it's an overcall. So here in this situation, which is the better choice in each one of these scenarios? With hand A, your partner hasn't had a chance to bid yet. He may have a good hand. You know, you've got 10 points. Your right-hand opponent has opened. If he has at least his share of the remaining points and maybe a little bit more, then the hand may belong to you. He could have a really good hand. So thinking about the fact that your partner hasn't had a chance to bid yet means that I don't want to preempt my partner if I can avoid it. So if my partner hasn't bid yet or hasn't passed yet, I'm going to bid 1 heart. But in the second situation, when my partner was dealing and passed to begin with, and then my right-hand opponent opened a club, I'm bidding 2 hearts. My partner has already told me he doesn't have 12 points in his hand. Now it becomes important for me to obstruct the bidding between opener and my left-hand opponent. If I bid 2 hearts, maybe he doesn't have enough to use a negative double to show 4 spades. Maybe he doesn't have enough to bid at the 3 level in a minor suit. I mean, I can accomplish all kinds of things here by bidding 2 hearts if my partner has passed. Does everybody see the distinction here? Depends on whether your partner has had the opportunity to bid as to how high I would bid. Can I obstruct the opener and responder by bidding 2 hearts in situation A? Yes, I can. But the object is to preempt my opponents, not my partner. So, and once I've overcalled 1 heart, if my partner can't advance my overcall, I have a 6-card suit. I have a legitimate rebid here of 2 hearts if I get the opportunity to bid it. That will tell my partner that I have 6 points also. Make sense? Does to me, but let me know if it doesn't make sense to you. I'll see if I can figure out a better way to explain it. Now, when you have a 9-card fit and there's been some competitive bidding, it is really important for you to compete to the 3 level. If necessary. I mean, if your opponents don't force you to the 3 level, well, stop where you can. But these days, people like to bid, in case you haven't noticed. And I have a couple of examples here. North deals and opens a spade. East bids 2 hearts. You're south. With this 8-point hand and a doubleton heart, making it worth 9. Most people bid 2 spades because to them 3 spades is a limit raise, and this hand is not strong enough to be a limit raise. If you have another way to show a limit raise, then you can bid 3 hearts here or 3 spades here immediately because you have 4 trumps. But if 3 spades is a limit raise with 4 pieces, then you can't bid 3 here. Your hand isn't good enough. So south bids 2 spades. West now advances the overcall to 3 hearts. North says, oop, I'm out of this game. Minimum hand, 5 spades only. East passes and says, yippee, looks like we've got it. Well, as south with hand A, you know there's a 9-card fit. Your partner would not open a spade. It may be 5 of them to the 9. But the fact is that we have a 9-card spade fit. The opponents have competed to the 3 level. Well, if I'm sitting south holding that hand, I'm bidding 3 spades. Partner may not make it, but the law of total trick says we'll come out on the best end of this deal if we compete to the total number of trumps we have between us. 9 trumps equals 9 tricks, means I compete to the 3 level. However, with B, there's only an 8-card fit. If your partner had 6 of them, he'd have rebid them because he knows you have 3. Your partner only has 5 spades on this auction. So you shouldn't compete to the 3 level here unless you have a singleton in the opponent's suit. That's very useful, obviously. Or if you have a two-suited hand, that means that you have some distribution on your side and that your hand has more trick-taking potential than the average 8 or 9 point hand does. Or if you think the opponents have a 9-card fit and that they're going to come out on the winning end, you can certainly take a flyer and try to limit your losses by bidding 3 spades. Now, this is a gamble because you don't have the law on your side anymore. But you can do that if you have a lot of shape, for instance, a two-suited hand, or you have a singleton in the opponent's suit. Tip number 5. When your partner opens the bidding and you have 2 4-card majors, you know, we've said since day one, bid your 4-card majors up the line to give your partner a chance to bid 1 spade. If partner doesn't rebid 1 spade, you can safely assume that he does not have 4 spades and bid accordingly. Here's an example. Partner opens 1 diamond. You have 2 4-card suits and 11 high-card points. Bid the heart suit first. Partner now shows an unbalanced hand. He doesn't rebid 1 no trump. He bids 2 clubs. Well, that's not too bad here. Partner has bid the 2 suits that you don't have. In this case, bidding 2 spades is 4th suit. Notice it would be the 4th suit. And most pairs play that as forcing to game. But your partner should have rebid 1 spade if he had 4 spades, because it's entirely possible for you to have 4 hearts and 4 spades. The fact that he didn't should tell you he doesn't have 4 spades. So your call here is not 2 spades, which would be forcing to game. It's 2 no trump, saying I have 11 or 12 high card points with no fit for either of your suits. Does everybody see this? Bidding 2 spades here forces partner again. If he's on a minimum hand, he's forced to bid. And it looks like he's pretty minimum. I mean, he could have as many as 17 or 18 points and have a hand that's not appropriate for a 1 no trump opening or a 2 no trump rebid. But most likely he has a minimum hand. So you don't want to be forcing a minimum hand to game when you only have 11 high card points. Your call here is 2 no trump, not 2 spades, because your partner has effectively denied having 4 spades. That's why we bid majors before we bid minors. If he's 4, 4, 4, 1, he needs to bid 1 diamond followed by 1 spade over your 1 heart response. Now, here's another little
Susan?
tip. Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
What if you have less than 10 points?
Well, then you take a preference. Remember, when you have a minimum hand and partner has bid 2 suits, you take a preference. And with 2 cards in the first suit and 3 in the second, I'm thinking a 5-2 fit will play better than the 4-3. So if I had only 6 to 9 points, I would take a preference by bidding 2 diamonds. That's what you do when you have a minimum hand, right? Okie doke. Now, when the opponents bid and support each other, and you have the jack or the queen in their suit, it's not advantageous to count those points. Those secondary honors take tricks when you are the declarer and their cards in your suit. But if you secondary honors in the opponent's suit, let's put it this way, take tricks on defense. But when you are playing the hand, when you are declarer and the opponents have bid and raised a suit, and you're thinking about no trump too, then queen third is not a stop, because that queen can get trapped very easily. So when the opponents have bid and raised a suit, unless you have touching honors like king queen third or queen jack third, queen third by itself is not a stop. Same thing happens when you're the declarer and you have a queen or a jack in a suit that the opponents have bid and raised. don't count those points. Just don't do it. They're not likely to take tricks. Now, here's one of my favorite tips, and I didn't learn it until maybe 3 or 4 years ago. You know that the whole advantage to playing in a suit contract is that you can often add to your trick total by trumping losers in the dummy or the short trump hand. Well, when your partner opens one no trump and you have a 4-3-3-3 hand and that 4-card suit is a major, do you have a roughing value in your hand? You don't, do you? So when I'm 4-3-3-3 and my partner has opened one no trump, I don't use statement. That kind of distribution screams no trump. I have no roughing value, so there's no advantage to playing in a suit when my hand is flat. Many's the time that 3 no trump makes when 4 of the major doesn't, when the dummy has the pancake hand, which is what the 4-3-3-3 hand is called. So let's look at this. Partner opened a no trump. You bid 2 clubs because you have a 4-card spade suit. Partner bids 4 spades or 2 spades, and you bid 4 because after all, you have 11 high card points. The opponents were pretty smart. They made a passive lead. They let a trump. If you notice, both these hands are 4-3-3-3. Now, how often does that happen? Often enough that this has become a tip. 3 no trump makes easily on this hand, but 4 spades doesn't have a prayer because there's no roughing value anywhere. So just because you have a bid in your box doesn't mean that that's the appropriate call in every situation. Stop and think a minute. Does it make sense for me to try to find a 4-4 major suit fit here when I have no roughing value? Now there, the difference in leading against 3 no trump and 6 no trump. You've all heard that when leading against no trump, you lead the top of a 3-card sequence, either perfect or broken, or you lead, if you don't have a sequence, you lead the 4th one down from your longest and strongest suit. But against 6 no trump, you always, always, always want to lead passively because very often the declarer has 11 tricks from the get-go. If you underlead a king against 6 no trump and the queen is in the dummy or the ace queen is in declarer's hand, you have just presented him with a fulfilling trick for his contract. So don't finesse yourself on the opening lead against 6 no trump. Never underlead an honor against a no trump slam. Lead from 3 small or lead from the top of a 3-card suit that has a touching cards on it. For instance, with this hand that I've shown here, typically against 3 no trump, you'd lead the spade 6 unless your partner bid one of the other suits. But against 6 no trump, that could be disastrous. A better choice here against 6 no trump is not underleading the king of spades and not underleading the queen of clubs, but to lead the jack of hearts. There's less chance that you will give away a trick, and partner knows that you don't care about having it back should he happen to take a trick. Now, if you have this hand and the opponents are in 6 no trump, is your partner going to take a trick? Probably not, right? That means if the declarer needs to take a finesse, and it looks like he might need to take a finesse in spades or in clubs, you need to sit back and make him do the work. Don't give him his contract when the lie of the card says he's not going to make it. If you help him by leading from your spade king or from your club queen, then you deserve what you get. Always lead passively against a no trump slam, always, 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 or any grand slam. Now, here's what I was talking to Susie about earlier. When your partner bids 2 suits and you have an equal number of cards in each one, take your partner back to his first suit, even if it means you have to go up a level to do it. Just shut your eyes and do it. For instance, your partner opens a diamond, you bid 1 spade, partner rebids 2 hearts. What's that? Anybody recognize that option?
It's a reverse.
Yes, thank you. I was beginning to panic.
Yeah.
We spent 2 weeks on reverses. This is a classic reverse. Second bids at the 2 level in a suit that's higher ranking than the first one. Now, resist the urge to raise those hearts with only 3 because partner absolutely has only 4 hearts. I don't care if he did bid them at the 2 level. This is not his first bid. This is his rebid, and he's showing you a hand that's unbalanced with 5 diamonds and 4 hearts at least. So holding this hand, go back to diamonds, bid 3 diamonds. If you raise hearts with only 3 cards here, you need to go back to kindergarten as far as bridge goes. Because partner only has 4 hearts. And if you raise his hearts, you have shown him or told him that you have 5 spades and 4 hearts, and you do not. Notice partner's reversed and you have 8 high card points. So you need to tell partner that your best fit is in diamonds. And since you've bid spades, he may be able to bid 3 no trump here, hopefully anyway. But you have a game forcing hand. Remember we talked 8 or more points following a reverse is enough for game. Now then, when your partner bids his second suit, if you raise it, you absolutely must have 4 cards in the suit. You must. Partner opens a spade and you bid 2 clubs. If you play 2 over 1, this is a game force. If you don't, it's forcing 1 round. Partner rebids 2 hearts. Now here's my hand. I have only 2 spades and I have only 3 hearts. I don't have a fit in either one of those majors, do I? But look at my hand. I have 11 high card points. The way I show it is by bidding 2 no trump. You never, ever, ever raise a second suit with only 3 card support unless your partner rebids 3 hearts over 2 no trump. That would show at least 5-5 in the majors, and it might show 6 spades and 5 hearts. If your partner rebids hearts over your 2 no trump, then you can bid 4 hearts. But if he doesn't, he only has 4 up. Now then, tip number 11. When you have 2 5-card suits, open the higher ranking one, respond in the higher ranking one, and overcall the higher ranking one. There's one possible exception to the overcall rule. If you and your partner use 2 suited overcalls like Michael's and the unusual 2 no trump, then that is certainly acceptable. But even those bids say that if you have 11 to 15 points, you bid your higher ranking suit first. So don't be concerned about which one is stronger, because if you don't do it that way, you distort your hand totally. For instance, this is your hand here, 13-point wonder with 5 diamonds and 5 hearts. The hearts are pretty crappy. The diamonds are much better. If your partner opens the club, you respond 1 heart, not 1 diamond. If your right-hand opponent opens 1 club, overcall 1 heart. Or if you use the unusual 2 no trump, you could no, well, you don't bid that. With 13 high card points, you overcall the heart suit. And if you're opening the bidding, you're going to open 1 heart, respond 1 heart, and you're going to overcall one heart because of the number of points you have here. The unusual 2 no trump would be accurate, but generally that shows 8 to 11 points, and your partner will take you for a weak hand if you use the unusual 2 no trump with this particular hand. I think most of you know that, but I still see people when I'm watching on Thursday night or Saturday morning, I still see people wanting to open this 5-card diamond suit instead of the 5-card heart suit. Minors get no respect. Remember that. Mm-hmm. All right. Here's another one. When the bid to your right is strong, a jump by you is weak. In other words, your partner open or your right-hand opponent opens 1 club or 1 diamond. A jump to 2 hearts is weak. He's shown a better than average hand by opening the bidding, so a jump by you is weak. If your right-hand opponent opens with a weak 2, for instance, 2 hearts, then a jump to 3 spades is a strong hand. Just bidding 2 spades says, you know, I have an average opening hand here, and I have 5 spades in it. The jump to 3 spades says, I have a good hand over here, and I have a great spade suit, and I want you to know that I have better than just enough to overcall 2 spades. So it depends on the strength of the bid that came before yours, whether or not the jump is weak. And it's the opposite of what that first bid was. If it was strong, then the second bid by you is weak. If it was weak, then a jump by you is strong. This may be new to some of you. It took me a while to remember this and to learn it. I made the mistake of having a really good, strong hand and just bidding minimally over a weak 2 bid and falling short of games, not finding a game that should have been bid. So it's important to remember this concept when you're competing against people who open weak 2s. Now, we're going to talk just a little bit on this one about past hand bidding. If your partner passes initially and the bidding comes back around to him and he uses a takeout double, maybe it went pass, 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 and the 4th suit opened the bidding and he decides to double. That shows 9 to 11 high card points and shortness in the opener suit. If both opponents have bid or they bid 2 different suits, the double promises 4 card support in each unbid suit. For instance, look at this hand. This is a 9-point wonder here with 2 doubletons. You're west, you pass. North bids a club, your partner passes. South bids a heart, double by you. I have at least 4 card support. All 2 diamonds here, which is really iffy on only 9 points. It's a 5 card suit, yes, but it could miss a 4-4 spade bid. So using a double is a much better option here. This is another case of the minors get no respect. You're always looking for the major suit fit over a minor suit fit. Mm-hmm. Okay, last one. And then, yes.
Question from Ella.
Okay, Ella, go right ahead.
And Steve.
Susan, on tip 12, how many points do you need to show a strong?
Well, I did this just last week, and I had a hand that had 16 points and 6 spades in it. And I bid 3 spades instead of 2 spades. In other words, my right-hand opponent opened 2 hearts. I bid 3 spades. If I'd had just 12 or 13 points, I'd have bid 2 spades. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Oops, went too far. All right, last one. If your partner opens the bidding and your right-hand opponent overcalls 1 no trump, remember, how many times have you heard me say the 1 no trump overcall is the most dangerous bid in bridge? That 1 no trump overcall shows 15 to 18 high card points. If you're sitting there looking at 9 high card points opposite your partner's 12 or 13, pull out that red card. The double of a no trump is not negative because the use of a negative double requires that 2 suits have been bid. If you bid a suit in this situation, it denies having enough to double. That if your partner has an opening hand and you have 9 or more high card points, and the second seat holds 15 to 18, guess how many points his partner has? If it's not 0, it's pretty close. He's in a world of trouble. That's why the one no trump overcall is so dangerous. Responder knows that his partner has an opening hand and he knows what he has. So if he has 9 or more high card points, pull out the red card. If your opponents are vulnerable, you're looking at getting a nice score. Here's an example. Your partner opens 1 spade. You don't have any support for spades, do you? East bids 1 no trump, showing 15 to 18 and promising a spade stop. Promising. You have to look at your hand and say, this guy's in a world of hurt. He is in a world of hurt. I've got stuff in diamonds and hearts both, and I'm sitting behind the no trump bidder. My partner has at least 12 points in his hand, and he has a 5 card spade suit. This should be a double here. This should be a double. It's called a balance of power double, or BOP double, as some people like to call them. It's just a matter of, hey, this hand belongs to us. I don't care if you do have 18 points over there. Our side has more points than you do. In general, you should use a BOP double when you know that there are 22 or 23 points between you and your partner, and the other people are trying to take the bid. Many times that will be successful. This tip comes from Mel Colcamaro, the same man that developed Mel's Rule of 8 and Mel's Rule of 2 for overcalling 1 no trump bids. His book is called How to Bid and Play Like an Expert Without Having to Be One. And it has lots of really, really good tips in it, including partner uses a help suit game try. What do I use? What kind of criteria do I use for accepting or just bidding 3 and going on down the road? I mean, they're just tips after tips after tips. The whole book is meant to simplify a lot of situations that can take years of experience to master without some kind of help on the subject. So if you have some spare money laying around somewhere, I'm sure you can find it used on Amazon or someplace. But it's called How to Think Like an Expert or Play Bridge Like an Expert, something like that, without actually having to be one, by Mel Colcamaro. Several of the tips in this lesson came from his books. Some others came from Donna Compton, and a couple of them just came from me. So anybody have a question about anything?
Steve has his hand up.
Go right ahead, Steve.
This sort of relates to number 13. It's not exactly like number 13, but it's close. Just the other day, I was the dealer and I had an 11-point hand and passed. My partner was actually the opener in 1 spade, and my right-hand opponent doubled. Now I had 11 points and a singleton in my spade suit, and I redoubled. Was that a wrong bid to make?
Well, it depends on what your partnership agreements are. And you don't know, being in 4th seat, you don't know whether your partner had 11 points and 5 spades, so that he was bidding on a casino account or something. I think that's up to you and your partnership agreements there. If you'd had support, most people play that jury is on over a double, but off with a bid. Obviously.
Yeah. I just had a singleton spade. My partner ended up rebidding her spade suit, and it was pass after that, and she made 2 spades.
Well,
But
then-
I wasn't sure whether my redouble was the right thing to do since I didn't have but the 1 spade.
Points, and it implies no fit. Typically, okay, so she opened a spade and her left-hand opponent doubled and you redoubled.
Yes.
Generally, redoubler's partner passes, but rebidding her spade suit showing 6 was certainly not without merit. That's what I'm trying to say. And I'd say you got a good result from it. So I think that, obviously it was in accordance with your methods and it worked well for you. Bidding something else, if you fail to redouble and you bid a suit, that's called a negative free bid and virtually denies 10 points, because with 10 or more points, you would redouble, right? So I think with your hand that your redouble was probably the call that I would make, but I'm sure that other people would have other opinions. I'm not the final authority on that by any means.
Susan,
Yes.
Susan, on tip
Yes.
number 14. Tip number 14, should my partner always know to pass after that?
After the double?
Balance power double?
Absolutely. That is not a negative double, because a negative double requires that 2 suits have been bid. The double of a no trump bid is, gosh, I can't think of a single instance where it wouldn't be for penalty, unless you have some other specific agreement with your partner. There's that thing again, partnership agreement, Sorry, but it takes precedence over everything. But double there is always penalty. It's never negative, never.
Question.
We're at 9. I think it's a good stopping place. Whoops. I'll see you guys next week.
Yes, mine's real quick. On tip number 1, when your partner opens with the preempt at the 3 level, she has 7, you have 3, you know that it should be at the 4 level. My question is, should you consider the points, even though you have 3 and you know you should be at the 4 level, is there a minimum number of points, even though I have 3 spades?
Not with me.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
Believe it. Hi, this is Susan. Thanks for stopping by the Oklahoma Collective's YouTube channel. Basically, this channel shows recordings of our free 1-hour bridge lessons for advancing players that we offer every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Central Time. If you would like to join us, send your contact information to the email address shown on the screen, and we'll be happy to send you the link. If you would like to follow our channel and be notified when a new recording is uploaded, just click the Oklahoma Collective button below. Thanks for stopping by. Bye.